Hello everyone, and welcome to Roll Together RPG, and to this episode 2 of Welcome to Dead London. My name is Tom, I use he, him pronouns, and I am going to be your game master for tonight. So, this is an ongoing series for our lovely Patreon players. The origins of this was because Josh and myself, I will introduce you to Josh in a moment, we like playing when we're not on stream, and there's quite a lot of video games that are zombies. Josh is quite scared of the zombies, so we don't play the zombie games anymore. But we both noted that the energy of a zombie survival game works quite well for D&D. Lots of combat, lots of running around, a little bit of talking, enemies going... and you have to see how it goes. Anyway, so first episode, as we got introduced to the Tilbury Docks gang, I was playing as a character, and we thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we just did a little switcheroo? So, as I said, my name is Tom, and I am delighted to introduce you, if you don't know this man, where have you been, to Josh. Hello, Josh.
Hello, my name's Josh. I would like to say that I do like Dead Island.
Yes.
That's the one zombie game that I will play.
We played Dead Island 2. We had some lovely time drop kicking people. It's very silly. It's very scary. That said, things would burst out of doors, and Josh would say the most profound words, and I'm like, poor. And then actually they were like, oh, glitch. Not enough things were bursting out of the doors. We're actually fixing that. And I went, oh, I'm so glad we finished this game. Josh would be so sad.
It was Dying Light that I couldn't play. Was it Dying Light?
Yeah, Dying Light.
Dying Light 2 that I couldn't play because I didn't like the fact they chased and climbed. And I'm like,
yes. Also, with those games where it's like, oh, you're also fighting humans, and we've just been like, oh god, okay, right, now this is happening. At least in Dead Island 2, it's like, hey, you're in LA, everything's cool and funky.
LA, Dead Island 2 sort of, even though it was a zombie apocalypse, was still kind of upbeat, whereas Dying Light is very all of the time, and I'm like, all of the time while we're playing it.
Now, speaking of being would you like to introduce your character?
Yes, I am playing a character. He's human because the real world. I'm playing a character called Marcus Carson. Now, for his class, because D&D, I have chosen for him to be an artificer, but there's no magic. So all of his spells and magical-based abilities are going to be themed around various different types of technology, and I have focused Marcus on being more of a medic type. So cure wounds is going to be me using bandages. I did take firebolt, so I do have a rifle that I will fire firebolt through and sort of like say that I'm going to reload it and stuff. Fire again. I know you can get all of these sorts of things in the game anyway, handguns and rifles and all that sort of stuff, but I just thought that this would be fun. And I've got a message as well, which is going to be me having a walkie-talkie.
Nice. How many spell slots do you have?
2.
So somebody has handed you a rifle with 2 bullets in it.
Oh no, firebolt is unlimited.
Oh, it's a cantrip.
Yeah.
Someone
Cure wounds I've only got 2 of.
Then that's 2 med kits. Someone has handed you a rifle with unlimited ammunition.
I had to...
Welcome to London, folks. On that note, we do have some sponsors and supporters to thank. Now, we are delighted to be sponsored by Phoenix Dice. So, if you go to phoenixdice.com and you will buy some beautiful clickety-clack math rocks like this one.
I have my dice next to me, but I don't.
So if you go to checkout and you put roll together all in caps as one word, you will get 25% off your purchase. Now, big thank you to the D20 Club and Patreon, especially to our dice heads. Now, for one of your local currency, which in this case could be one British pound, God save the king, or one undead goat, real problem, just all round Primrose Hill, don't go there because that belongs to the undead goats. You can watch things such as this fine show. We are very grateful to our dice heads. They've built us a wiki, they've given us a Discord where we can have lovely conversations, and you can also tell us what you would like to see more of, especially if you're watching us on YouTube. please do give this a thumbs up, make a comment, so it all helps the algorithm. The algorithm that still exists now here in a post-apocalyptic London. Right, on that note, I think it's time to put poor little Josh through the ringer. Okay, see you guys after some opening credits. Goodbye. Pew! Wow, 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 wow. Welcome back. So, episode 2. In the previous episode, a small group of survivors went to a local hospital to raid it for... You want hospital survivors? What are you quote marking me on there?
It's because we normally say a group of heroes, so I thought I'd go survivors.
Well, we managed to survive the apocalypse. Anyway, some survivors broke into a local hospital, dealt with the undead there, were able to get various medical supplies, and also Henry, the roguish, very quiet former English student, who can, he hears voices, but who doesn't? It's the apocalypse. He managed to save a young woman from another group of survivors, and we left that episode with this group making their way back to the Tilbury docks. Okay, so that was a couple of days ago. The group got back, they got patched up, the new survivor was put in what I think we described as like a decontamination thing outside the gates to...
It's like a tanning booth, weren't it?
Yes.
Decontamination tanning booth. If she didn't turn into a zombie, then she was let out. But if she did, the spray tan thing was filled with acid and it would just melt. Or she was killed and her body would be sort of scavenged
for bits and for chum.
Yeah.
It's a hard universe, folks. I can say that she wasn't bitten, so she's in the camp. But that's a separate problem.
Does she have goat legs?
Roll for goat legs. She's just...
No.
Imagine. I was like, it'd be very funny if she did. And you're like, cool, can I have magic? I'm like, absolutely not. Goat ladies, yes. Being able to cast Lumos, no. Anyway, that's a future thing. Marcus, we're going to come to you in a moment. You have been provided with some of the supplies from the hospital raid, including a couple of med packs. As we are about to join you, you are on a small little speedboat that has set off from Tilbury Docks and is heading west. You are heading to Greenwich. We're going to learn a little bit about you in a moment and what you look like, but you would know also, I assume, having spent some time in London previously, Greenwich was previously the home of very, very large docks and also where time was kept. The Greenwich Observatory is where Greenwich Meridian time is selected. I like to say it's where time was invented. But that's very British centric of me. As I'm sort of like, oh yes, dear boy, we invented time.
It makes sense, doesn't it? Because that's where Greenwich Meridian time +0 starts, isn't it?
Yeah, right through that observatory. That's where time is kept. There's it's a bit like when people do the Royal Mint and they were like, this is how much, of gold, this is how we measure it. It's like, this is where we keep time in a jar. We keep time in a bottle. Anyway, so, Marcus, you and two of your associates are chundering their way along the Thames. Do you think you would be piloting the boat?
Oh, no. Definitely not.
Excellent. So, Bill is on the helm. Bill is a old the image that came to my head was Jeremy Corbyn, where that sort of older guy. He's got he's from the north. Older guy, had a canal boat. Lived on a long. I think something else where we describe them as longboats. People like Vikings. No, like a canal boat. He had worked incredibly hard. Spent a lot of time doing up his canal boat, and then the zombie apocalypse came. He survived, but Bill is there in his very sort of slightly threadbare jumper. a lot of the clothes here, get recycled. But Bill's obviously this has got emotional attachment. He's got a flat cap on, tidy beard. I think a lot of people's beards grow out, but Bill's making himself look tidy. He's probably sort of like his early 70s, his hands on the tiller. Very very jovial man, but you can see the sadness in his eyes, as you see it in everyone. As we're sort of panning over, I think it's that sort of video game thing of there's someone sitting and then there's also someone who's got their head down. The person sitting next to this person, her name is Karen, which is quite impressive because she's 18, so a relatively young Karen.
Unfortunate.
The other connotations of that name have kind of fallen away because they're because it's. I think it's for the lexicon of going, oh, you're just trying to make a fuss over something. Everyone's like, the world's ended. We don't have time to complain about, not having enough espresso. I think, it's changed from Karen to bellyacher or, there's stronger terms that we probably won't say. But yeah, so this Karen said she's 18, sort of darkish hair, quite pale, because there's not much sort of. She's not spending a lot of time out there. Is wearing a baseball cap, rucksack, about as we're going to meet Marcus. She is going to be your partner on this expedition. She's pretty new. She's pretty much had to grow up in this apocalypse and doesn't really remember a time before. But so she's sort of nervously sort of tapping and then being like, oh, no, that's too noisy. And sort of slowly turns and is like, so, kind of hesitates because she's now looking at you as you sort of turn and look at her. Who is Karen looking at? Please describe Marcus for us.
So Marcus Carson is a gentleman in his 30s, early 30s, probably about 31, 32. Short cropped hair, sort of military style. Although he always hated having to shave his beard every single day, or having to shave every single day, so he's let his beard grow out quite substantially. Not to the point where it's dangling down and could get in the way or get caught in weapons or anything like that. So it's still all kept to a degree. And to the point where he can put a respirator on. Fun fact: one of the reasons why the military tell you to shave, that you should be completely clean shaven bar mustaches, is when you put a respirator mask on, when you've got a beard, it breaks the seal that it forms around your face, so all the gases can still get in. As it also looks smart as well. But that's one of the reasons I learned. So anyway, I was told. But yes, Marcus is former military, to the point where he was still in the military when the apocalypse happened. But because of everything falling apart, he's since sort of become more of a civilian. He was a combat medic, so he has a slightly larger backpack on than what Karen would have, because he has some medical supplies in there, as well as two of these two of these med kits that were provided by the previous team who had gone and got them from the university. He is trained in weaponry and has a rifle that he carries around with him. This is how I use my firebolt spell. He also has a club shoved down the side of, sort of in the harnesses of the military bag that he has, and he carries a hunting knife on his side, which he doesn't really use to fight any undead that he comes across. It's more to used to cut like a ribbon, what they called bandages and other things, and maybe some food and stuff like that. So it's more of a non-lethal way to use that. If he wants to get in close, he uses the bat.
I think because we discussed in the first episode that Henry was carrying like a small machete for the same sort of thing. It's for those at the Tilbury Docks, it is general preparation to carry a small, to carry a knife or something. Yes. Marcus, how many missions do you think you've been on?
I've probably been on more missions than some because of my military training and the fact that I'm also a combat medic. So I'm also a medic and I can cook. I'm quite sought after when it comes to going on missions because they don't then have to find people to fill those roles out, especially for the multi-day missions where we have to go into deeper parts of London or into the underground and stuff.
Which is, yes, the underground is a particular terror for the people of Dead London. Just so many tunnels and things coming out of it, and you never know what's under your feet. It is, especially as you are getting closer to sort of central London, where the tubes run over each other, and there's always noise. And the rats. My God, the rats. But this mission, as I said, you're heading to Greenwich. This is a mixture of missions. As I said, the fact that the big bosses have decided to combine, two different, let's say, energies. Marcus, competent, put together, understanding. Karen, young, needs to learn, but also you have a steady hand and also a medical training, so hopefully she won't catch herself on a barbed wire. The mission is simple. Bill is taking you and Karen along the river to Greenwich. Part of it is to scrounge up things for see if there's other boats out there. You're not going to pilot it, but it might be a fact that you have to, daisy chain a couple of boats together to get it back to look for equipment. You're also going to be relatively close to the Maritime Museum, and the advantage of that is to basically also, there's the Maritime Museum and also the observatory. A big telescope on the top of it, we're looking over most of London. That would be an excellent, vantage point. The thing is that the Tilbury Dock gang, as is, are kind of venturing a bit further. You're going out of your purview, if you know what I mean. Sort of like, it's never been clear if there are various gangs, the gangs of London even, setting up. And also, if you can try and contact other people, see who's out there, also being prepared to know that, so far Tilbury's had a good hand on things and has had a relatively open door policy. You all know there's definitely people who are not so nice. But as I said, so the idea is the Bill will take you. You and Karen will have a chance to scope out the area, possibly work out if there's anything in the museum, look around the observatory. Even if you just want to take a bunch of novelty pencils. I mean, it sounds silly, but pencils are pencils, You are wearing your large backpack, which is going to allow you to carry stuff. It's also worth pointing out that, these are two touristy places. They will probably be first aid places. Sort of like, it's constantly a search for food and for medicine, and you just need to survive. So as we said, Karen has sort of been a bit would you like to make an insight roll?
I very much would. Yeah. Insight is not one of my trained skills. No. But I did roll a 12, so that's a 12.
I'd take a 12. It's fair to say, sort of you're in your early 30s. The apocalypse was, what did we say, about half a decade ago? Sort of five to 10
years ago, yeah.
Time's all gone a bit. If only we had somewhere where they kept the concept of time you go find a calendar and you're 2022, we've done it, boys. It's been anyway. Yes, you sort of it's been, so as I said, she's 18, that she obviously was quite young when the world fell apart. It's kind of clear that she's nervous. As I said, the fact that she was tapping her thighs and then was oh no, that's too much noise. Yes. I think also with that insight roll, she's got a good heart, but she's scared, and it makes sense. And I think, is she going to be a flight risk? probably not, but you never know what happens. Sort of like, from your understanding, she hasn't had much time in the field. Yeah, I think that's enough to be sort of like, to pick that up and look, and as you look into her sort of slightly watery eyes, as you're both sort of bumping along. Bill has got like his hand on the tiller. Has actually, folks, if you've got a prop, use a prop. Has a pipe of very stale tobacco in his mouth, and it's just like boom, 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 as going on. So as I said, she sort of looks at you, kind of, and then sort of looks away, picking at her nails nervously.
Are you okay?
No, not really. This is one of the first times I've had to actually, be out in the field. Sort of like, I'm more used to like taking care of the little ones, but they said I need to get some experience to work out, sort of what I'll be good at. Kind of like, again, her eyes are watering, and you kind of think that she might throw up. She's not quite, but sort of like, and then she's like, I've never had to actually kill anyone. Kind of looks at you, and sort of like, you've got a nice face, so like,
Thank you.
Thank you. Also Marcus has got a nice face.
Marcus.
Yeah. Also Marcus. You sort of. I think it's safe to say that like Marcus has a nice reputation among the camp of, as I said, competent, a carer really. It's a bit like she's a substitute teacher, and you're like, oh yeah, and I've been at this a while. And she's like, oh my god, I just want to read the Gruffalo to the kids. I don't want to go and rob an observatory. Yeah.
Hopefully you won't have to kill anybody.
Okay.
It's very, very rare that we bump into others on these missions. More likely to bump into the undead than you are someone else.
Do you have any advice if we do run into the undead?
Try not to get yourself overwhelmed. Try to run.
Okay, yeah. No, I can do that.
Only fire your weapon if you are running. And you have a clear path. You'll get overwhelmed.
Okay, only if running. Do I get overwhelmed? Yeah, I can.
Oh, and stick near me. Don't wander off. Even if something attracts your attention, point it out to me and we'll go check it together.
Kind of like the way her head's nodding, where she's like, yeah, this is what I want, be like, please, you've picked up that she's a scared young woman, in this in a terrible world. What a world to come into. Yes, there's a, so as she's nodding, you sort of like, you both look, and there is sort of old wreckage of sort of like in London they have like those tour boats, that go around, and like, there's just one sticking like half in, and I think what's your passive perception?
That is 12.
Sort of like, I think as you sort of spot as you're like, yep, there's something moving in there. Cool. Let's not. But it's safe to say, like, we established in the first episode that these trackers, I don't know if we ever gave ourselves like an official title for our job, but there are maps of London, and sort of like, if you look, she'd be like, yeah, I think actually that's what Karen does, that she sort of like gets out her map and like notes like a little mark there for like sunken ship, where it's a mixture between this would be a possible place to raid. It is not probably a good idea, as it's definitely full of water-drenched zombies. But yes, so the boat putters on after like another half hour, because in this world, again, like, it would take you about 9 hours to walk from Greenwich to Tilbury, but it's taking you about an hour and a half. The Thames is surprisingly clean now because of a bit like when COVID happened, and suddenly all like the nature came back. Like, I think you do have a nice moment of watching like a heron like flying across as you arrive in Greenwich. Bill pulls up to a slightly decaying dock, sort of nods and is like, right, okay. So I will be here. If I need you, I will honk. And gets out this air horn. He's like, oh, honk this. Eddie, do you have a sandwich?
We have rations, yes.
Do you want a sandwich, though?
Karen, do you want a sandwich?
Looks to you as the sort of superior officer. Is he just like, look at yes? goes in, opens like a toolbox wrapped in brown paper and hands over a sandwich. You can't smell it. It's well wrapped. It's worth pointing out, like, if he suddenly was like, hello, here's a gorgonzola sandwich, good luck, off you go. As I said, there's been an attempt to bring back, sort of like, it's fortunate there was a lot of urban gardens going on, that people try, and so they're in the base there is a garden, so they've tried to grow wheat. It's not quite taking, so it's been a lot of like I mean, if you shut your eyes and hope for the best, it's a sandwich with cheese. Yeah. Karen, too polite for her own good, holds it. It's like, thanks, Bill. He's like, important. You know what they say? Go to work on an egg. Don't have eggs at the moment, so you got a sandwich. She's like, yeah, great.
Maybe pull away from the dock a little bit, just in case any do come onto the dock, and you'll see us coming, so you'll be able to pull in when we need you.
Aye, smart. Points over to sort of like the basically like, I don't think it's the lifeguard, but sort of, folks, this is where you need to do your research. Where it's like the Thames Police have, that's it. It's like a Thames Police thing. It's like, gonna look in there. Be careful. Yeah, don't points to both of you. Don't get bit. No, you stay with Marcus. Yeah, Marcus is smart. Marcus will take care of you. And she's like, yeah, okay, thanks, Bill. And you're like, yep. And just goes back to his sort of like tinkering as you both step onto the docks. Yes, so the options are open. You are walking through an abandoned city. It's sort of, as you walk past, as you go past, the Cutty Sark is there. Large wooden. There had been vague talk about trying to launch it again, and as you look, like the struts that are holding it have clearly been hit with like hammers and stuff. But the great ship still sits there in dry dock. I don't even think it could sail if they tried. A lot of people had a lot of ideas, and this was not one of the best ones.
I'd say we're both definitely trying to be stealthy.
Would you like to roll me a stealth check, please?
Yes, please. Ooh, that's I rolled a 16, so that's an 18 on the dice for me.
Amazing.
18 in total, sorry. I
will roll for our assistant. It's actually it's an 11. I think balancing out. She's not. It's the sort of thing like you're walking through a street. And it's not like, oh, I'm stepping on broken glass. You're very clearly like, okay, we're going at a certain speed and doing this. She's walking, but she's walking with the kind of energy she would have if you were in the camp rather than when you stay. So I think, if anyone's, those of you among you who've ever walked down like a London street at like 2 a.m. and you just hear, she hears her own footsteps and sort of stops. And it's like, sorry, I didn't.
She sort of signed to her that everything's okay. I haven't got my rifle out at this point because, as I said to Karen, you don't want to use that unless you're running away. So I've got the bat out at the minute and sort of moving around to sort of have a little look. Got a torch out to sort of flash into dark areas.
she also is like that. She also has. Do you have a wooden or aluminium bat?
I reckon I've got wooden. For some reason, in my mind, aluminium bats don't last as long.
No, and also I think they make more of a clunk when you hit. I mean, it's wood. Yeah, would you like to roll a... do you want to do perception or do you want to do investigation?
I should do perception, please. I mean, both of them. Oh, no, I do. I am trained in perception.
Nice.
So that's going to be an 11 on the dice for a 13.
So it's sort of like... It's sort of early afternoon at the moment, with the understanding that this is going to be like... Again, Bill's going to go poking around in the Thames Police base, get some stuff. You're going to have like... This is very much a sort of scouting mission. You're going to have a look, probably a couple of hours, come back. You had told him to pull off. He's like, cool, as soon as night starts falling, I'm going. It's the understanding. So he starts sort of like looking in and you're seeing like the broken windows and sort of the flash of you've got your bat. Are you getting a torch out to look in the shadows?
When we go past like dark areas, because I've got the bat out, I'll sort of pull the torch in then like a cross arm sort of fashion with the bat resting on my shoulder, and I'll sort of flick into the rooms into any dark areas to see if there's anything going on there.
You are going past a sort of like burnt out foyer of a certain coffee shop, common in every UK. Other coffee shops are obviously available as you go past this one, and you know that the undead here are mostly sound. That's how they hunt. So you do just have the moment of looking as it's like, and you just see like the undead face of someone standing in just rotting coffee beans, just
forever waiting for their coffee order.
Yeah. Yes. They just look. They need their espresso before they go. Again, it's the tattered. It's actually so they're wearing a very. They're very gaunt looking, but they look like they probably were quite large in life, wearing a very big shirt that says "I heart London," and it's just splattered with gore. Baseball cap, their phone long gone. They have a little thing around their chest where obviously
little fanny pack type thing.
Little fanny pack, as this. Sorry, tourist, tourist zombie, just and just sort of like. Uselessly sort of like just swipes at the counter as if we've been talking about Karens, this one is like, where's my coffee, and just
I'll point it out to Karen and just sort of gesture for her to keep quiet and to just keep moving.
So I'm gonna let the stealth. You've both done better than this creature's passive, where it's not looking. It's, just sort of creeping on past. You just see that thump as it starts hitting the counter. It's odd. It's odd, kind of the things that. This is probably one of the most disturbing things for you living in the zombie apocalypse, where you see moments of humanity that seem to have stuck. Whatever's turned these into creatures, something's still there, and for this creature will not leave until it gets its espresso, as it spends and I think with your thing you see like the gashes on its hand on a long broken counter as it slams its hand into the counter and begs to speak to our manager, who has been dead for nearly a decade. Yes, but you and Karen, you managed to stealth your way up. Standing by some large metallic gates that have been sort of pushed back. In front of you is the Royal Maritime Museum. Do you think you ever went there in life? In previous life? You're not dead. In your previous life. You start consuming Karen, and thank you for joining us. If you haven't joined one, yeah.
I was secretly bitten and nobody found out. I reckon probably.
Yeah.
He probably would have gone there on one of his shore leave sort of days. Even though he wasn't in the Navy, they sometimes still call it shore leave.
Yeah.
So I reckon he would have travelled to London to see probably the person he was talking to over like the messaging or letters or however he communicated with people, met up with them and went on a date with them to various different places around London.
Yeah, you had like a long weekend of leave, and so you and your paramour decided to go around. It was a nice mixture. That you went around the Maritime Museum, and then you managed to go to Leicester Square and go to one of the huts and go see a musical for a couple of 20 quid. I don't think you really enjoyed it, really, and I think the seats were not that comfortable. But
the musical was good.
The musical was good, but it's
just the place that we were in was, like you say, seats weren't that comfortable. I sat next to a really smelly person that wasn't the person I was on the date with.
Yeah.
And the row behind me, they were crunching their popcorn really loudly. The row in front of me had somebody really tall sitting right directly in front of me, so I couldn't see half of what was going on.
But so like as Marcus internally sighed, but
as Tom says, being one of those tall people.
Oh, folks, I mean, I'll join it where I had someone sit down behind me and was like, oh, this is the problem. I'm always stuck by some immovable object. And I turned and just Paddington Bear stared and goes, oh, I was like, you're in public. I can't hear you. I don't think there's much I can do about,
Your inside voice. Would you like me to wear a hat?
Yeah, I would be very tempted to just be like, and now time for my topper.
Can you imagine that? Somebody says that and you just go into your bag and you get one of those like flat top hats and you just go poof off and you just stick it on your head. That'd be hilarious.
I just want to get in fights. That's all I want. Yes, so you and Karen are standing outside of the gates. I said the museum ahead of you. If you head round to the side and up the hill, there is the Greenwich Observatory. Where would you like to head?
So you mentioned before that this mission is just... Is this just a recon mission, or is this recon and retrieval?
Recon and a certain amount of retrieval. Again, the previous mission that your associates went on was to the university hospitals, very particularly get medical supplies. Greenwich is the Tilbury Docks group haven't gone this far up the river in a little while, so it's just sort of like if you wanted a sort of like not a push, but you'd get a feeling that maybe the observatory would be quite useful to be able to. I'll put it this way, like. Observatory would be very good for like specking out the rest of the city. The Maritime Museum would be useful for maybe we need some more guns. Maybe, as I said, a bunch of pencils.
Just to see what items they have here that we could potentially send back.
Yeah.
And Greenwich, does it have you said it's got a Maritime Museum as well,
yes.
So it's got boats and stuff.
It's got old sort of. Yes, sort of also old charts, old sort of like bits of like, if you wanted, flags, that's cloth, because as we said, folks, we're basing this on like video games where you'd be like, oh, you found cloth. It turns out it's the flag from the victory, But,
I need that for bandages.
Yes, yeah, sort of...
There's two things that I'm currently thinking of that might be beneficial to us. One would be any maps of London that might find in any of these museums, because I reckon we're probably quite short on those. And also one of those old school, full body, big fishbowl style diving suits with the big thing. With the big wire on the top?
The fishbowl, yeah.
Fishbowl diving suits, yeah, because I reckon, because we know that the undead don't go into the water, obviously we're not thinking, let's go live underwater, but, there's rumours around, I don't know don't know if this is true, but this is in my headcanon. There are rumours that, there are sections of the Thames that were used for smuggling in the olden days and all that sort of stuff. And there's like tunnels and stuff under the water and things that you could go to get to smuggling dens and all of that sort of stuff. So it could be a way for us to potentially get to an area that is safe.
Absolutely. I mean, you also got to see the wreckage of some ships, and especially being in a diving suit, that is a certain amount of protection, sort of like zombies struggle in the water. I mean, if anything, if you got into an air pocket, good luck trying to get into an 18th century diving suit, as the pumps and the bellows.
The other thing as well is those things are quite thick. So even if you don't use it as a diving suit, the material can still be stripped back and put onto what we currently have to reinforce our own armor and stuff. So we can be better protected out there. So I'll be looking for that sort of stuff if I go into the Maritime Museum.
Yes.
If I go into the Fan Museum, we still do have electrics and things because we use generators and stuff. We've managed to develop solar panelled generators, so we don't have to rely on fuel too much because we need the fuel for other vehicles like boats.
Yeah.
So would be looking for various different fans that we could potentially take back for the hotter days, because even though we're Tilbury Docks and there is a slight breeze that does come through, with the way that the containers have been moved to build up sort of like a wall around, it can get stiflingly hot there. So having some air would be handy. And then what was the other museum you said there was?
The other one, so if you went into Greenwich Park, there is the observatory, which is up on the hill, where time was kept in a bottle.
Yeah, and the observatory, does it have a big telescope?
It has a massive telescope, yeah.
So could look at potentially repurposing the telescope and try to see if we can see like other areas of London.
Absolutely. And even if you just went up that hill, you are in sort of southeast London. You can see the city of London in front of you.
It'd be good to do that and sort of pick key locations that we might want to go to and see if anybody's putting up any sort of like light signals or anything.
Absolutely. I think sort of like you've definitely, yes. All three. This doesn't at the moment feel like something that's going to like close off, like you have to pick and then you're going to lose. But you do feel like you need to, you've got a couple of hours, especially if you want to get back to Bill.
Yeah.
You need to pick where you want to, yeah. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling that the most important thing is probably going to be the observatory.
Amazing.
I can at least scope out the other areas to see if they've got things there, but I don't need to go into great detail.
If you were up on that hill and then you looked and you're like, the Maritime Museum looks like it got set on fire 2 years ago, you're still going to know that, rather than if having to go in. Okay. I said there were no wrong choices here. This is a good one. This makes sense. You sort of you come through the gate. As I said, it looks like someone's pulled it past open. Karen follows in your footsteps. What sort of speed are you travelling through this? The park over the last decade has grown up. There are wild deer are back and have bred and have exploded.
Bloody deer in this country.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, do you want to roll stealth?
Yes, I will roll stealth, please. I think the way that I'm doing this is I'm going slow. Obviously, quite a few things have overgrown and stuff, and I don't know if people have been here, so I don't know if they've set traps. So what I'm doing is every time I take a step, instead of just taking a single step, what I'm doing is I'm sweeping my foot round in a semicircle motion as I go to put my foot down. It's a way to sort of check for mines and things on the ground and stuff. So I do that, take a step down, probably getting on Karen's nerves that I'm going so slowly, but it's something that I'm doing just to make sure that we stay safe and that we don't trigger any traps.
Absolutely. Let's say roll stealth.
Or stand on anything particularly noisy.
Well, that's that as well. Roll stealth and roll investigation.
So for my stealth, I got an 18 on the dice for a 20.
Beautiful.
And an investigation I rolled an 8.
I think that's the sort of thing where you're sort of like, yeah, you're taking your time. It takes about half an hour to get like round. And Karen, as you said, like Karen is a sweetheart. Karen is incredible, but the nerves have slightly gone, and you nearly have kittens at one point as you hear like a crinkling, and you just spin around, and Karen's got half a sandwich in her mouth, and you're just like, all right, and then kind of sheepishly offers you the sandwich.
I'll just sort of signal to her no, but keep the noise down and let's keep moving.
crinkle, as it goes into her pack, wipes it off her mouth. Sorry again. Yes, you take your time. You're quiet. As you pass round the side of the Maritime Museum, you do see. You catch what looks like a light moving. But are you're gonna keep on your track?
Yeah, gonna sort of keep an eye on the light as we're going. I'll make sure that my light is turned off, just so I'm not signalling to whoever's there, because I don't know if they're friend or foe.
Very sensible. I think you also, both you and Karen, like sort of duck down so you're underneath the sill of the window. You travel. You with your high stealth, you can see the wild deer running, sort of like, and you both sort of like have to have moments where like you hear the noise as deer come running across the path and out, and you're like, okay, we're good. Standing, it's taking you, I said, about half an hour to not go very far, but you took your time, and you weren't. I mean, the deer don't really give a monkey's about you, but they've had the bravery of like a few generations of not really seeing humans and have gone feral. It's sort of like you're also aware of the sadness that is the feral dogs of London. The various pets, like in real London, how parrots have gone wild. Similar, where you sort of like you do hear some howling from the side, and you're like, yes, this is what my ancestors felt when they heard wolves. Yeah. The two of you are now standing at the base of this hill. If you climb it, as I said, it will take you to the observatory, where you will be able to get like a good view of the City of London. You could also try and get into the observatory. You're also aware, though, that as soon as you start climbing up a hill, even one that's heavily overgrown, people will be like, cool, those people are climbing a hill.
Yeah, so if I will look out. First thing I'm going to do before because I know it's quite open ground going up the hill towards the observatory, isn't it? So before we expose ourselves in that way, I would look to see if I can see any people around anywhere first, just in case they might be hiding from us.
Very, very smart. Please, roll. Is that investigation again? Yeah.
That's a 2.
Karen got a 6. I mean, sort of. You don't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe, so I'm gonna begin sort of signal to Karen and say that we need to make our way up to the observatory.
Cool. While not getting into the fine points, how are you just going to walk up? Are you crawling up?
Definitely not crawling up, because my investigation check was low. So the plan is going to be to go at normal pace. Let's sort of sneak out, and then once we get to the, sort of like where we're starting to climb the hill, that's when I'll start walking normally. Still stealthing just in case there is anybody up at the observatory itself.
Please, again, I keep making you re-roll stuff, but please, roll stealth again.
I shall roll stealth again. Oh my god, I rolled a 2 again. That's a 4. I'm not that quiet this time.
You just again, I think for all of this sort of like, okay, we're being quiet, we're being, I'll see how. I mean, Karen got an 11. For that, sort of like. And I don't want to put the blame on you, but at one point, sort of like, she slips, lets out a yelp, and you sort of like attempt to sort of grab her, and then she yells louder because she's like, constantly on it, and you just hear her from the top of the hill. In video game, like an exclamation point has popped up above something. The grass around here is quite long, so if you wanted to like get down, you probably could.
We'll duck down, sort of try, maybe even get into the grass itself to sort of move up. But if I heard a noise, I'd like to pull out some binoculars or something and try and look up at the. Hello. I'm not going to say hello, but I'm just going to look up.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Look up towards the observatory, top of the hill.
I think, you sort of squat down. Karen's hyperventilating behind you. Again, I don't want to put words in your head, but I think when you talk to the bosses when you get back, you'll be like,
please keep her home. She's nice and everything, but she likes working with the children. Keep her with the children.
I think that's the thing where, and also sort of like, not to sort of put it where you're like, she probably could do with a bit more combat training in case anyone attacks the base. But yes, sort of like, you also get the feeling she doesn't want to do, it's not, she's like, oh yeah, I want to be like a hero. She hasn't really seen the world. And also, it's that sort of thing, like, what was she? She would either be between 8 or from 8 to 12 when she was around London. You had some time. I mean, you weren't local, but you had a bit of time, like, I knew where, I know where Buckingham Palace is, really. She's never been,
Josh doesn't. Josh has a funny story about that, but I'm not going to tell that now.
That is what you get for the double Patreon. Anyway, we'll mention that off air. You crouch down. You pull out your binoculars. What type of binoculars are they? Are they
hunting binoculars, I reckon.
Right.
I reckon, because it feels kind of cheap saying that everything that I have is military gear. So I reckon he probably lost his military-based binoculars at some point and found some really old school hunting binoculars in one of the museums that they've been to previously.
Yeah. There's a lot of state homes around, and we've already established that there was quite a bit of raiding of like sports shops. That's why quite a lot of people have hunting crossbows, or sort of like a few people just you've known a few bandits just attack people with like ski sticks, because it's pointy and sharp, and use there. So you get out your sort of your hunting binoculars, and you sort of,
or maybe even not hunting binoculars. Maybe it's the scope on my rifle that I use.
We retcon as you sort of like, okay.
I just thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different look if you get spotted between I'm looking at you with some binoculars to I'm pointing a rifle at you, or have you taken the scope off and you just?
Oh yeah, taking the scope off to have a look. Yeah, okay. Don't want to. If anybody does spot me, don't want them to see that I'm pointing a rifle at them. Fire!
Please roll perception.
This dice can do one. Go away. That's a 9.
I think it's sort of like
rolled high for me in the beginning.
Is this sort of like you're doing your
trying to survive here, man?
Actually, yeah. Just for like, do you have what do you have in survival?
What do I have in survival?
Yeah,
it's a +0.
Okay, just roll survival. I think just as a sort of like.
Oh, that was a different dice, and I rolled natural 1.
There's a lot going on right now, Marcus. You're just like
that dice can do 1 as well.
You're just like, okay, I'm looking as a. You're like, okay, I can't see anybody. I assume an 8 doesn't hit.
8 doesn't hit me, no.
as you're sort of looking, and you just sort of like have a moment like, oh, as a rock goes flying and sort of misses you. I'm just gonna. It also doesn't hit Karen. Karen, who like, because you're like crouched. You look. Karen is now like face down in the grass, just full on like. Prone, just on her, bless her, on like her stomach, just face down, like I'm staying down, and like you have the alert feature, so it doesn't scare you when you feel like a hand like put on your foot. She's just like, I'm holding on to you, and I'm staying with you. I'm really, yeah. It's just the mud behind you lets out a sad gurgle when she's face down in the grass. Yes, someone has thrown a rock, and you just hear a. Who's there? Dave? Is that you, Dave? Oh, Dave, don't play silly buggers. What are you up to?
It's just and I can't see a figure anywhere.
You sort of like, because I've said like when the rocks come that you sort of duck down. Are you going to try and stick your head up again?
I'll move positions. I'll kind of try and stealthily move through the grass so I'm in a different position, then I'll try and pop my head back up and have a look through my scope.
Folks, we're getting bitty. Roll stealth, roll perception.
Stealth was an 18. Perception, is a 19.
I will absolutely take it. I like to think that you're sort of like, you slightly sort of roll, and then as we watch, as Karen also like teddy bear rolls behind you, she's very muddy now. You know, you sort of like, bless her, she shouldn't be here. You sort of like perfectly. You sort of like pop yourself up, scope up. So you worked out that you didn't get it last time because like the balustrades around the observatory was just in the way. As you moved round to the other side, you do see that there is a sort of looking skinny teenager. I mean, most people in this world now are skinny due to a certain amount of malnourishment. In a very sort of baggy hoodie, which just has like a anchor on the front. He's also wearing a baseball cap that just says Captain on, and he's like very similar to you. Is carrying like a rucksack full, and it looks like it's absolutely full. Like you sort of like look for your scope. You're like, that is very clearly like full of books and tankards and sort of like paperwork. He's obviously
any sort of salvage that he's been able to get hold of, sort of thing.
Yes, he's raided the Maritime Museum's gift shop. So it just gives you an idea that that's there, and you're able to go, okay, right. This guy, Dave. I think like as we sort of like look into your mind palace, you look back at it and you like the little map, like question mark Dave at the light. So yeah, the skinny guy, just sort of like, and is just. He's going to say it. I thought I heard something. Probably just a fucking deer or something. Yeah.
Does he look armed?
As you sort of like go, okay, so there's a rock. He does seem to have stolen a saber, like a captain's cutlass, which is haphazardly. And you realise that it wasn't a rock; it was a paperweight that he threw at you. He, sort of like as you sort of looked, it was like I'm going to say you inadvertently like picked it up. So in your inventory, it just says, from the captain's table. It's vintage paperweight. Yes, the man. Well, that's the thing. He has weapons on him. And he threw a paperweight at you, but up to you how you want to.
I think what I'll do is I'll put the scope back on the rifle, get the rifle out, and we'll slowly make an approach with the rifle very much visible, but not pointed at him, but sort of hung down.
So have you emerged from the grass now?
And then I'm going to emerge from the grass, and I'm just going to say hello.
Who the fuck are you?
My name is Marcus. Who are you?
Are you doing intimidation or are you doing persuasion?
Persuasion.
Yeah, just roll persuasion. I think it's just sort of like scoping this guy out. It's
9.
9. I don't have to... You a cop?
Nope, just another survivor looking to see. I was actually coming to check the observatory out. Just, I can see that you're here instead, though.
Yeah. This is our territory, so be on your way.
You say our territory. Who is our? If you don't mind me asking. I've not seen many survivors out in the sticks.
Me and my bro Dave. We're the. You kind of like see him like looking aside. We're the sailor boys, as he says weakly. As again, what's you? This is obvious, but what's your passive insight?
Passive insight is 10.
Yeah, it's just it's simple. You know, it is like the way I just delivered it, where you like if you ran into like basically a kid who's like, yeah, we're the sailor boys and we've got like a gang, you know. You sort of like, I think you're not making it too clear, but you know, sort of like as your eyes rove over this guy, where he's like, yeah, he's not much older than Karen. He looks incredibly malnourished, you know. He's quite dirty. That even like sort of like because he's clearly wearing clothes he's just stolen, but you know he's just he doesn't look like he's going to be a threat, but he is holding like he's like as he's nervously like he's going for the sword, you know.
I mean you know harm. I'm just another survivor looking to. I was just looking for supplies and stuff, and to see if I could get a look through the telescope to see what's going on in London.
Well, you can't. It's our desk. Where did you get that? Who did you kill for that? Pointing at your gun.
This is mine.
The jaw clicks. Yeah, where you sort of like... Again, like with that insight where you just be like... Okay. Like, the threat meter is ticking up. Just sort of like... You got any food on you?
Only basic rations.
Hand over. Hand over and I'll let you go.
Nope, I think I'm good keeping hold of it. If I give you my rations, then what will I have?
I don't give a shit. What about her? She got rations?
She has rations. Again, if she gives you her rations, what will she have?
I have half a cheese sandwich. You know, as he rubs his... You see blood, so like on his... You know, this kid is not well. As he rubs his nose. Yeah, yeah, hand over the sandwich. It's good. I don't... Karen, like, looks to you.
I'll hold my hand out for it. Still got the rifle, still got my hand on the trigger, but hold that down and hold the other hand out.
She goes into her pack, crinkle, 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 and hands over.
Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll just take a big sort of swing of the sandwich and sort of lob it up to him.
Yes, because he's on a sort of like slightly raised area.
I'm making sure I keep a decent distance between us so he can't just sort of lunge at me.
You sort of feel like, I think there's, because he's up high, so that's the thing. He wouldn't be able to grab you if he did. He'd have to like come down some stairs.
Yeah, but I want to make sure I keep that distance.
Just enough to be like, yes, definitely. Yeah. Just make a ranged attack. Just to, but basically, this is like a throw attack.
So that's going to be unarmed strike. Throw. It's going to be a 8.
It's the sandwich doesn't land perfectly, but you know, you see this kid like he disappears. I'm going to say that gives you like a turn if there's anything else you want to do as he's out of sight, grabbing the sandwich.
You said you had a friend called Dave?
Yeah, as he comes back up.
Is he around?
Yeah.
Where?
Persuasion with advantage. Now you're feeding him.
Ooh, wow! I've rolled 2 19s. That's a 21.
This is a kid. You know, you very much get that, and this kid is. You thought he was Karen's age. He's younger. You know, she's lived in a world without. This is. He's not quite bored into it, but he probably doesn't really have memories of the time before. And kind of like the way he's looking at you is that sort of thing of like going, oh, yeah, you this isn't your world. And she's sort of like, well, actually, and you sort of like hear the voice crack where he's been trying to do like gravity voice, and it just yeah, he's currently in the museum. He's like looking for, you know, things like the paperweights and the books and the stuff.
When did he go in there?
Looks at the clock that's behind him. When that one was the big one was there, and the little one was there. You can tell time as you look, and he's like, look, you're like, okay, that's about maybe an hour ago, hour and yeah. So it's
still enough time for something to have happened to him, but
yeah.
Lower possibility. Okay. And where are you two from?
Shifts. You kind of again, you sort of like the feeling of him being like, okay, you've God, it's like feeding an animal, where, you know, sort of like yeah. We sort of came from points up, sort of like towards. Not sort of across the park, and I think this is the chance that you sort of I don't. Okay, I'll say like if you're taking your eyes off him for a moment, you know, so like you look, and you're like, oh yeah, what I wanted to do about like specking out the city doesn't look good, obviously. Does this? I mean, none of the build like if you're heading sort of like looking much further north, you're like, yeah, there's some fires still burning up there, but he sort of like is pointing. Actually, he's pointing nearish to where the fires are. So you're like, okay, that might be sort of further north, maybe towards Camden, or sort of like up that sort of like.
I can see Camden being a big sort of civilization settlement.
As you're pointing, you're like, oh. Camden is still lit up, you know. Okay, we're like in the afternoon where you're like, okay, you knew that there was a Camden camp, but that's sort of like. So he's pointing. He's like, there. We came south because they didn't want us. We were not useful.
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I've got all this, haven't I?
It's good loot. Where are you planning to take it back there to show your worth, or are you looking to go elsewhere?
Yeah. I mean, again, you don't have the biggest insight, but you're also being like, yeah, this kid also doesn't have any idea what he's doing, you know.
Yeah,
so like,
I'll roll insight.
Yeah.
So an 11. That's one higher than my passive.
I think it's safe to say you sort of like look at him and he's like, okay, this kid's nervous, and like when he's like, yeah, we're going to go back, and you're like, I think it's the difficulty between working out what someone wants you to think and what he actually does think, and you're like, you get the feeling that he's not. Maybe he didn't make a plan here. That maybe Dave's the one who's told him what to do. He's like, yeah, no, we'll go back to the camp, and you know, because starts to like looks like he's dancing, but he's trying to be a big man. Yeah, he's like, yeah, and we'll go back, and then they'll see that we can, you know, get things, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll tell them to fuck off, and then they'll see how tough we are. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to go look for Dave, just to make sure he's okay and can get back to you.
I mean, why would Why would you do that?
I mean, you're out here on your own, and I was explaining to my young friend here that people shouldn't be out in this world on their own. Not if they want to survive.
That would be... I haven't got anything you can take, as you sort of like...
I wouldn't want any of your stuff. The only thing, if we were looking to do a trade in that regard, the only thing I would ask is if I could use your telescope. That would be it.
Yeah. Do you have any like clean water or anything?
I have water, yes.
Can I please have some water, please?
Of course you can. May I come a bit closer? I don't really want to throw it at you and risk hurting you.
Not sort of enthusiastically, yeah.
What I'll do is, I imagine that I've got my military-style green canistered water.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll pull out a fresh bottle of water, the freshest bottle of water, as fresh as what they can be, and I'll walk up towards the steps that lead to where he is. I'll place them on the bottom and then take pace back, so we're still not interacting with each other.
So you've placed like the fresh water, like there.
Yeah, not the stuff in my canister, but like a bottle that I would use to either fill it up or use it for my med kit sort of thing.
Because that's the thing. So the apocalypse doesn't seem to have been spreading through like anything aerial or like, you know. So, and fortunately, like people were able to get hold of like water filters and like use the rain and sort of like. Also, like other water filters are available, but if you're thinking you're in a position to be able to be like, oh, we can raid like a department store and get these, you know, filters where you're like, okay, we break out, replace the seeds, try and filter it. So there's relatively fresh water, you know.
Another thing that you get with in like your ration packs with the military is you get 2 sanitized tablet type things, so you could fill your watering canister up with, say, river water or puddle water or whatever. You throw one of these tablets in and it cleans the water for you, makes it drinkable basically. So that's pretty much what he has in his actual tin, in his actual water flask, and then the fresh water he carries around to barter with people or to use on his medical stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense, and I'd say you've probably got a couple more bottles of, you know, recycled water. You put it. You take this step back. This kid scuttles down, you know, pulls it, and it does also occur to you, like he's drinking this on a pretty empty stomach, so this. He's probably not. It's going to help him, but it's probably it's that sort of thing where you're like, oh, that's going to hit, and you know, I mean, if you're being mercenary about it, that's also probably going to take him out for a bit, where he's like, oh, you're going to have a bit of a stomach ache, but you're going to be hydrated as you know downs it, and he's like, thank you.
Thanks, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna go see if we can find Dave for you. So make sure you keep yourself safe up here, okay?
Okay. Billy. I'm Billy.
Nice to meet you, Billy. My name is Marcus.
Nice to meet you, Marcus. I'm Karen. Yeah, you gave me the sandwich at the end. You're not used to... yeah, but he's very clearly his people skills have run out as he literally like skitters, keeping himself down behind. Karen sort of like looks, sort of raises an eyebrow at you, and it's like, then kind of like nods, and she's like, yeah. You both start heading down the hill.
Heading towards the museum that he pointed at that Dave went to.
Yeah. You're going... Are you stealthing again?
Yes. Well, I think we'll walk down the hill normally now that we know there's somebody there. Yeah. But when we get to the sort of closer to buildings where we could get jumped by undead, then that's when we'll start stealthing.
I'm also going to say that do you look up back at the observatory as you head
I'll look back at him a couple of times just to make sure he wasn't hiding a sniper rifle and decides to snipe us in the back of the head sort of thing.
You do have a moment as you sort of like look and you realise that what you can see is like a little telescope follow. It's one of those like viewmaster things that
Oh,
you would
yeah.
have, and you put that he's obviously like smashed, and it's like that's following you as he's watching you go down the hill. But do you acknowledge it?
I'll give him a little wave. If I see him do it, I'll give him a little wave.
He waves back. It's quite friendly, really. You know, sort of like you.
Go find Dave.
You go find Dave. You're heading back. You get to the side of the museum. You're stealthing, you're saying, from this point.
Yes.
Please do roll stealth. Folks, most of this is rolling stealth, you know.
Oh no, that's a 4.
You sort of, again, creeping past. You get to the point where, you know, and as you get to the point where you saw the light, you hear a sort of crunch, and you look down, you're like, someone has smashed the window since, and you've now stepped on it, and you're just like, and you can hear noises inside. What's again passive perception?
12.
You just hear, help me. It's hoarse, but something's alive in there and is asking for help.
I'm going to begin making my way towards it. I think at this point I've switched back to the bat, because again, I don't want to attract things by firing my gun. But the bat has got like a hole in the top of it, which goes straight through it. And as I put the gun away, I reach into one of the pouches that I've got on my military harness, and it's got a nail with a dowel on and a spinny thing on the other side, and I stick the dowel in on one side with the nail in it, so it pokes out the other side, and then I stick this other dowel type thing on the other side to lock it in place. So my bat's now got a nail sticking out of it. The plan is to with it.
Interesting. So this is a club in game. So I might give you So what you roll D4 for damage?
D4 for club, yeah.
For club. Let's say we'll add maybe 2 piercing for sort of like that seems fair. Where you're just
that's
like
good.
Because
that takes me to 1d4 plus 1 because I have a minus to my club because it's a strength based weapon.
Okay, that seems fair. Where you're like I guess where you just get one pierce. Yeah. Yes, you prepare your club. You're up by the window. You're sort of like the window is about eye level, so you'll be able to
have a look inside.
Cool. A torch?
No, because I've heard his voice. I'll look without the torch first.
Cool. Let's say roll perception.
Oh, that's a dirty 20.
Amazing. A large part of this was like how much you're actually going to see, but I think you're lucky because like this window, like the curtains or the shutters are back, as are other. Dave has obviously opened the other shutters, so light is coming in, so you can see. There is a sort of series of like large glass cases, which sort of, as you're looking, like, oh, that one's got like a large sort of wintry overcoat and a selection of dice and a razor. One next to it, has been smashed. And sort of like as you look, you sort of looking down, you can see a trail of blood as a man who looks possibly sort of older than you, maybe early 40s, sort of also wearing like the stolen navy gear, is also is where his cap now says like midshipman, sort of like, but it's very clear like. Actually, you've got how's your medicine?
Medicine's +2.
Do you want to roll medicine?
I can roll medicine. Oh, that's a 17.
Something. It looks like as you're taking it in, he's sort of like I said, there's a streak of blood sort of where you are. It looks like possibly he put his arm through the window, has cut his arm quite badly on the glass, and is crawling. You can see, like, the light, so like he's lying against one of the cases, and you almost get like slightly dazzled because he's got like a headlamp on, sort of like underneath his midshipman hat. There are 2 zombies which are just looking around. One of them is in a tattered like blue shirt where whatever was on the name tag is long rusted away. And another looks like just like a granny, like an old lady, who clearly had a walking stick before and is still sort of like really like arthritically like looking. Dave has, as I said, like possibly in trying to escape or panicking, cut his arm open, crawled off. The zombies are alerted because of the smell of blood. That this is Karen next to you is like, I mean, they're gonna get him, aren't they? Sorry, folks, I probably shouldn't actually whisper. It's a bit like when we were doing accents. Karen whispers. Yeah. We really shouldn't, he's bleeding out, I don't think there's anything we can do. They're going to get him, right? They can smell the blood.
Yeah. Are they trying to get to him currently, or are they sort of like circling around him?
Circling around. That he's, as I said, he's sort of like, he's crawled and he's got his, so he can't quite see you, I think also because like the light's in his eyes, but they're like the other side of the room and they're on alert and they're like, there's something going on here. We can hear something and we can smell something. And he's tried to sort of get behind one of these cases, but yes, so they are alerted, but they haven't gone, he's there.
It's going to sort of go, right, I will signal, let's try and cause a distraction. And what I'm going to do is, as a artificer, I have magical tinkering, so I can imbue a tiny magical object with non-magical object with a magical property of your choice, 5-foot radius up to 6 foot long, and with a recorded message, emits odor or non-verbal sound. So obviously we're not using magic. So what it is I've got a bunch of, I feel like we've done this in a game previously somewhere.
You did this in episode 1 where Henry had a collection of sound-making, smelling things. Yeah. And now we know who probably was involved in the making of them.
Yeah. So he pulls out like a little speaker type thing, which he can use as a distraction method. I just want to have a quick scan around everywhere else, not just this room, but everywhere else, to see if there are any more undead anywhere, because obviously I'm going to attract a lot of them when I throw this.
Makes sense. I'm going to say you're going to roll a couple of things. So again, it's going to be perception.
Yep.
You're also going to be aware that as you're popping up, Dave's going to spot you if you're going to find a way of being like, keep quiet.
Yeah, I'll pop up and go.
Okay, with advantage roll persuasion to just keep him.
I'll do advantage persuasion first. Natural 20 with the advantage. Thank God for that. So that's 22.
As you sort of like, do you sort of like just shh. He kind of like stops, looks. I think we've said that, I don't know if the Tilbury, if we said there was like an insignia or something we had.
No, we wear, so we have a uniform which is basically the dock workers' overalls, which we wear underneath our gear that we wear over the top. So that would be our sort of thing. So it would have like the Tilbury logo and stuff on the arm. So that would be sort of our insignia. So I'll show that.
You show that. He clocks that, and then sort of like, again, he's holding basically his
How pale does he look?
You know, sort of like, you did really well with medicine, didn't you?
I was 17.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to run probably, but it's not like he's hit the carotid artery, but it's definitely like you put your arm through a window. That ain't good.
That's not good.
yeah, but sort of like clocks you and then mouths like thank you, and then sort of like puts winces as he like puts his like finger over his lips, and it's like thumbs up, like cheers, mate. Sort of like tries to make, because he's a slight guy. Like as you're looking, he's in his 40s, sort of like slightly, sort of. Again, everyone's very sort of haggard in this world, but the same sort of like the sort of person you could imagine from Josh's experience of being to Camden would have been like one of the stall owners. Maybe a bit like not faux Cockney, but that sort of thing of like very much like would have called, being like, all right, mate, how would it, sort of like
sort of person who goes, hey, I've got a bunch of vegetables I want to sell you for 25p and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And again, sort of like that's the thing where you're looking at him and you're like, okay. Again, it's sort of like I keep making you try and roll insight for stuff, but like you can kind of go, oh, this is a guy who like saw a starving kid and got like. You almost wonder if he was like, oh, that's not fair. I'm going to take care of this. He's my kid now. I'm taking care of him. I've got a plan, mate. Don't worry about me. Don't worry, Billy. I've got a plan. And then it's the fact that he very purposely put Billy up by the observatory somewhere, which was kind of safe, and that he could observe, while he went and basically got his arm slashed open. But yes, so that is like, that's the... Dave's sort of like, shutting the hell up. Please do roll sort of perception or insight or investigation, sort of like...
Perception's what I'm going to go for to see if I can see any other zombarinos around. That was a 17 again.
Yes. Okay, so we've got like employee zombie, granny zombie, and you sort of like... You take...
How far away was coffee zombie?
Coffee zombie is sort of like a good 5 minutes away, so
okay,
like was not sort of like, obviously depending on how much noise you're going to make, coffee zombie wouldn't be alerted unless you're like setting off like a city, it'll be a while. I think you also sort of like just take it in. Can you roll me a D10, please?
Oh, I can. I need to get the D10 out. 1 second.
Sorry about this.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's a 5. Right down the middle.
Yeah. I think that's sort of like, okay, you're like 2 zombies. Because you've got such a high roll.
What's another 5 zombies? Oh, no.
5 zombies that you can kind of be aware of, sort of like, as you sort of like, the fact you got Dave to like calm down, you'd be like, because, I mean, because you're taking extra time, and it's time he doesn't necessarily have, but what time do we have in the situation? But you're like, I'm being sensible. Okay. You can kind of see in other corridors, you're like, I'm not even going to say, like, you slightly get the scope out again and just like, okay, can I zoom? And Karen also sort of like, sort of like, you have that thing of like going, the smell of suddenly someone else next to you, as Karen is also right next to you, and like points out a couple in like other galleries, and you're like, okay, so, what's your intelligence?
10.
10. What's your wisdom?
10.
Okay, he's just a man.
Just a normal man.
Just a normal man, just a normal guy.
Just so the audience knows, when we created these characters, instead of them being full D&D characters, we gave ourselves an 8, a 12, and then the rest were 10s for our stats.
Which, sort of like...
average human.
Average human, sort of like, maybe we'll do better as we get more stuff, but, it's still relatively early days, society's come back. Okay. As a sort of artificer type character, yes, okay, it's a 10, but I'm saying you're like, okay, you do have a mind, there's a tinkerer's mind to you, where you're like, okay, I think if I could get this just right, like my sound maker, it would kind of roll, and it would roll out that door. They would definitely start gathering in that other gallery. There's no... You kind of, again, you're sort of like looking around, you're like, okay, I can't see... Like, you're looking across the space, and you can see there's maybe 5-ish zombies that way, and you're sort of like, okay, you're looking the other way into, like, you can't really see into the next gallery, but there's nothing obviously in there. You're like, okay, that's the focal point. I could definitely try and... yes, so with that, what do you want to do?
So is there a way for me to get in to this room with Dave without because when you said about it, I was picturing that there was a hole, and
Yes,
I could just step in.
It's like the window pane has shattered.
Yeah,
You could get, and I said like where you're standing, like you're sort of like the ledge is there, and you're like looking through. You can see into the room, like look down. You could try and get onto onto like the ledge and get in through the window, but that like again, sort of like that might be a case of like trying to open it from the inside, like putting your arm in through a broken like window to try to open the latch. You could definitely try and like kick the window in. That's going to make a lot of noise. Would that make as much noise as after the sound goes off? There is also the possibility, if you really want to sneak, there would probably be a fire exit around. So I'm going to say you've got options, or if you've got any other like bright ideas that you're like, okay, this is how I'd try and get into this place, please.
I think well, obviously main entrance would be one, but the main entrance is where I want these things to come out of.
Ideally,
so I would look for a fire exit to try and pry open to get in. I would probably try and find that first, just so I know where it is. And then before opening it, that's when I would then move to another position to throw this thing.
Okay. Do you want to go, or do you want to send Karen?
Me and Karen go together. We're not splitting up, especially now that she's pointed out there's bloody 7 of these things around.
You head along there, and there is indeed sort of like you can see a door, and you sort of like as you look into it, you can see that like a chair has been wedged into it. Probably Dave, making sure he's got an escape route. So
that's an open door that I can get through.
Yes.
Right. So I make my way back round to where I can see him, and then I will pull my little radio device out. I'll flick it to a musical track, and then as I go to throw it, I'll hit the play button. So, and it doesn't start as soon as I push. Well, it starts as soon as I push play, but it's one of those ones that has like a 5-second thing before the song actually starts.
Yeah.
So I will do that and then lob it as far as I can away. So it's within hearing range of everything that's in that building, but away from it, so they have to come out of the door to get to it.
Amazing. Please roll. Like we said, it was an unarmed attack to throw a sandwich.
Unarmed attack using dex.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an 18.
Absolutely. You just threw you position your arm just right so you don't catch yourself on the glass. Hurl it. It goes over the top of one of these glass cases. Click, click, clink, clink. What song does it play?
Everybody dance now. Dun, 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 dun.
How long does your timer? How long does it last?
Oh, it will last for the full song.
Right. So it's. I think, folks, we discussed this in the first episode where it was like those old like things. I think when me and Josh were growing up, we were like, it's an entire song on a little thing where you can play it. So you've kind of someone robbed the childhood museum where they just were like the V&A kids quarter, and so it's playing this song. That's like 3 minutes. The zombies start running. I think because we also discussed that there's a certain amount of chum to it as well. There's like some of these have smell, so they're like blood and music. So you hurry to the door.
Yep, run round to the door. This is the point where I'll tell Karen to stay at the door. Yeah. And if any come for her, run.
She nods. She's holding her bat. She hasn't put a nail in it. You can see her considering it. She doesn't realise that you're going to tell her to stay home. You hurry in. Okay, so you're now in. You can hear the music in front, sort of like down the corridor from you. You can see as these zombies are sort of like looking around. You Are you just moving? Or are you going to try and stealth again to get
I'm gonna
to
try and
Dave?
stealth, but like sort of speedy stealth.
Yeah, yeah. You sort of like crouch down, bat out. Yeah, please.
Ooh, 18.
18
16 plus 8. 16 plus 2, sorry.
plus 8. You're like, oh,
Plus
that's
8.
maths.
Wow, I got a boost.
You sort of like you're round. You're looking. You sort of like really kind of like okay, go past. You go past the open door that the two zombies have gone through. The granny's like closer and sort of like looks up, looks around, but doesn't quite have the periphery to like turn all the way around to look at you. You're like, again, like I said, it's like the exclamation mark kind of thing. I was like, I heard something. Okay.
Have they all gone through that door?
They are going, like, the granny was going through that door as you sort of like came in. Stop. She's going through. As you kind of look through, you can see that the other 5 starting to, like, you're hearing like shrieking from up, like the balcony above, and actually as you take a moment you just watch as one just fully face plants off the balcony poof, and it's just like and that makes more noise, and then you're like, okay, right, you're able to come in.
If this room is now empty that Dave is in,
Yeah.
and that door is open with all the music playing, I'm going to attempt to shut the door, that door, and then I want to try and like put a bar or something in it. Just
Cool.
I know they probably can't open the door, but I just want to try and shut it.
It will definitely sort of please. I know this isn't your thing. Strength check and then sleight of hand. I'm just making you roll stuff.
Strength was a 16 for a 15, and
Okay.
sleight of hand is going to be a 12 for a 14.
Cool. I mean, it's a door. You're able to sort of like
ADG.
oh no, you're able to sort of pull it closed. As anything, yeah, you got, so you have it. There is obviously a thump as you close the door, and like, you're like, cool. You're just trying to find something to bar it with. Do you want it permanently or just like a temporary kind of like just
a temporary thing to slow them down?
There is, if you go to a museum, there are chairs. There are chairs, obviously, for the staff as well. There is a chair very similar to the one that's holding open the fire escape. You sort of like jam it, and you do sort of watch as the granny has now turned around. It's like, and it's pushing against the door. It will hold. You obviously don't have much time, but you've got enough.
Instantly going to go grab Dave and then run.
Okay, you go
run as I can with him.
You get over. He's looking at you. He's like, mate, didn't like tries to start getting up. Like, oh, fuck. Do you see a kid? Like, it's about.
Yeah, I'm going to take you to him now. Come on.
Hey, thanks. Is holding. You're looking at him. As you said, you're like your medic's eyes. Right, this man is clearly like severely cut his arm. Is anything you'd like? Are you going to try and fix him up before you go?
So I'm going to quickly sort of. I'm just trying to think of what I've got on me that I could do really quickly. Probably a tourniquet would instantly grab straight out and sort of put that up in just above his elbow to stop the bleeding. While I'm doing that, I'd like to check to see if he's also been bitten.
Sure. Make a medicine check.
Yep.
I think that kind of combined the two. I think.
Ooh, medicine, that was a 17 plus 2, so 19.
You sort of put on the tourniquet, like pull it off. I think, again, so correct me if you're wrong. You're not harsh, but you do sort of like do a thing of like, right, move that arm. I need to like.
Yeah.
You start sort of. You start, no, Matt, what are you doing? You look. No, he doesn't seem to have been. That seems like it's almost like you slightly not put your fingers in the wound, but being like, no, I need to check. He's sort of like, no, mate, no, I'm not bit. Don't worry about it.
Okay, let's go. And then I'll sort of pick him up, help him get up, put his arm over my shoulder, and then speed run towards where Karen is, and then when we get out, shut that fire exit.
I'm going to say roll initiative.
Dun dun dun. Oh, that's not very good. That's a 6 for. Oh, my initiative is +4, so that's 10.
Okay, let's have a look at a zombie. So zombie got a 8. Come on. What initiative do you have, little zombie? Yes. I think. Sorry, looking at the thing. Languages. Understands all languages spoken life, but cannot speak. Oh. Yeah. The door shatters as you're going past. You beat it in the initiative. There is now a zombie on your heels. You're just going. You just
move, dash, move and dash to get to the door. As soon as you get through the door, just shout to Karen to shut it.
The zombie chasing you did roll a 6 to hit. So this granny is just
trying to hit me with a handbag.
Yeah. You rude young man.
Just reminds me of the grandma from the first Madagascar film.
You get out. Karen shoves the door, and you just hear that as an old woman just collides into the door. Dave's like, "Oh, yeah, thanks. You're the."
Yeah, no time. Let's go. When we get to the observatory, we'll speak.
Karen, also gets under. You're both kind of dragging this man who just and then just passes out. The adrenaline worn off. You get to the bottom of the hill, and you're just like, oh god, as you just see he's going too fast. As Billy starts running down the hill. Sort of skids, slightly falls. You got him okay then?
Yep, let's get back up to the observatory quickly. Get up there and make sure that we're not being followed.
Oh, okay. Having slid down in the mud, stuff scrambles up. It's going to take you a bit of time and effort with an unconscious man, skinny as he is. You get up, as you sort of again see Billy is looking through his viewfinder goggles. As you get up, it's taking you a few minutes. Dave has sort of come round a bit. The man's not dead. But he sort of runs. Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. I was watching you through the binoculars. Thank you. I'm sure Dave would. And you just sort of see Dave's like, yeah, mate, that was great. That was. Oh, fuck, I left my pack behind. No, don't worry, I've got, hold on. And it just goes in and, pulls out a paperweight. And you just sort of see as his lips wobbling. He's just like, yeah, I've got a paperweight, Dave. Oh, mate, that's great, man. Yeah.
You guys got anywhere to go?
We can go, we can take the stuff, we can go back to Camden. Dave looks at you and, because he's lying on the ground, he very sort of slightly shakes his head. Yeah, and they'll be impressed. No, mate, it's just Dave starts sitting up Camden's a drag, it's not for the likes of us, free thinkers. Yeah.
If I roll insight, am I getting the feeling that Dave has got him out of there because Camden has fallen, or
please roll inside.
Because the shaking of the head makes me think that Camden is not there anymore.
Please, yeah, roll inside.
Oh no, it's a 3.
You know that he's let's not go back to Camden. You looked, you look where Camden is really, and you can see. It's getting late. You can see spotlights from the shops. Difficult to tell. You're not looking at a scorch mark on the map, but
yeah, but you can't tell if zombies have sort of overran it or anything like that. So
difficult to tell.
Not really being able to read his face.
Yeah.
I'll be well. Come back to where we come from then. We've got to get back to the docks otherwise our ride's going to get out of here, and I don't particularly want to stay here overnight. So come with us, and we'll take you back with us.
But he's like, yeah, okay. Dave looks at you again, and once again, as we come to the end of this, roll insight.
Well, that was high. That is... do I have any pluses to insight? No, I don't. So it's just a flat 17.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bitten, but that's a lot of blood, and you don't have any going spare, you know.
Yeah.
He
thinks he's going to die.
Yeah, he doesn't think he couldn't. He's also... You're looking at an older guy. You also, and again, because great insight there. You're looking at a guy who's like, I'm going to slow you down, because he can't really walk. Like, it took you like 20 minutes to climb quite a steep hill to bring him back down again. He would appreciate having, he sort of like looks to Billy, and like he can't like. It's, because he's just there, but that sort of thing of like, Karen also, I'm just, nat 2020, Karen's a carer, Karen. It's like, yeah, Billy, yes, actually, yeah, I think it's fun because I have Bill, and I think I could Billy. She's like, Bill and Billy. Once you could pick names, you're like, what's good London names? I was like, Billy, yeah, right, we need to... Actually, it's funny because the other guy's called Bill, lovely guy. We need to go let him know that, we're coming, and Marcus here and Dave are going to sort of help. They're going to go... Dave's like, yeah, he's going to get my pack, aren't you, Marcus? Yeah, make sure we don't lose...
Yeah, I'll get your pack.
Yeah. You go with... Karen. Yeah, you go, Karen, kid, and I'll be along shortly. Billy doesn't really sort of like, I don't want to leave. Come on. He sort of leans in. He's like, these guys these are Tilbury guys. They're they help the little guy like you and me, and they need smart cookies like you, Billy. Billy's like, yeah. I mean, smart cookies. Like, yeah, man. Yeah.
Go down to the docks. Stay together. Make sure not to get into any trouble. We'll be down soon.
Karen hands Billy the bat, and Billy takes the sword off, and he sort of like pushes it towards you.
No, you take it. I've got my own bat.
Nods. Karen nods, the head down. Dave gets up and is like, you want to you help me up the stairs, will you, Marcus?
Yeah. Give him a hand up.
Yeah. He gets like slightly staggers and leans and is looking out across London as the sun's setting. He's like, it was a hell of a city. I grew up in Camden, worked at the stalls, veg, and then I started selling Yorkshire pudding wraps. It wasn't really the, But
is it safe? Is the people still there?
I mean, people are there. Camp hasn't fallen, but there's new bosses come in. They've got big ideas, and it's become very. Well, I mean, we know about you, Tilbury lot. You you melt people, but you take in useful people. The Camden bosses are now, well, they're deciding who gets to live and who doesn't.
Yeah,
and,
we only melt people. I should confirm that we only melt people if they're infected.
That's not the story.
We don't do it as punishment.
No, I didn't. Look, no, I didn't think that. But you know how people talk. You know, sort of like. I mean, you guys haven't been attacked in a while. They think because you've got like acid spitters. But maybe that's not the worst thing for people to know. But as he sort of like gestures, where again, like he's still holding onto his arm, which is, you know, it's tourniqueted. But yeah, you take care of the kid, okay?
I could get you back.
No.
We could save you. Yes, it might be a bit slow, and with the amount of blood that you've lost, you will probably lose your arm, but we can get you back.
Roll persuasion.
Your legs are okay.
I mean, I don't know about that.
Ooh, that is a 17. Oh no, hang on, I've got a +2, so that's a 19.
You got that weapon of yours. Do you mind if I borrow your bat?
What are you going to do with it?
Well, we got to get back to the boat, don't we?
As long as
I've lost my pack. It's, you know... actually, sort of like, again, as you look where he's like... And you think back, you're like, oh yeah, no, he had... like Billy had, like, the sword. He had clearly also taken the sword. He doesn't have any weapons on him currently.
Yeah. I'll take the nail out of it, because I don't want that in my eye.
That's fair.
So I'll take the nail out of it, and I'll... You're not going to hit me over the head with this, just so I leave.
I mean...
I can get you out of here. Otherwise, you're a dead man.
As you look, as you can see, as night's falling and the zombies are coming... Yeah, I mean... You're not planning to, like, turn me into mulch and feed me to your dogs or anything, are you?
As long as you haven't been bitten, no.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit you in the face.
Right, so give him that, and then I hold my rifle. I'm like,
yeah.
You better not.
Please make one final check as we try and, I guess, maybe let's just it's flat survival, isn't it? It's a 0, just to see.
Flat survival. That is cocked. Very strange. Ooh, that is a 15. It's flat, yeah, it's flat. 15.
As we sort of see as a pale, dark-haired woman and a young, as you realise, quite young, you know, probably 13-year-old kid in like stained, muddy, arguing with Jeremy Corbyn, who's Billy talking to Bill. Bill, who's like, well, you know, we got to go, you know, it's time. As you look up, as you hear like, you not jogging, but Dave kind of slightly lean on you, holding a bat. Well, any room for 2 more? And you just see like the relief as Bill goes, bloody hell, Marcus, you cut it close, don't you? Anyway, sort of like gestures, he's like, looks, and he's like, well, I guess I don't need the mini fridge. As he pushes a mini fridge into the Thames, there is, as you jump in and sort of like the three of you help Dave in, the boat turns around, the zombie's like, and just you've you know, sort of like is enough. And I would say is also enough that as we sort of pan across the river, as someone in the darkness goes, gestures and like, there we go. 2 people who have been observing quietly. The boat turns and begins the 90-minute trip back to Tilbury Docks.
Oh, you and your shady people in the background watching what we're doing.
You sent 2 guys out of Camden, and it's good to know. Marcus, you do successfully make it back. You have now once again introduced 2 new people to this camp of ours. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this second episode of Welcome to Dead London. Thank you. If you have enjoyed what we're putting out, we play Dungeons and Dragons on Mondays at 6 p.m. UK time, and on Tuesdays we play non-D&D games. time. That can be a variety of games, or it could be like a talk together or a live show. So please join it. If you do like what we're putting out, those shows are found at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg, and you can find all our content, such as Patreon games such as this, at youtube.com/rolltogetherrpg. Now, big thank you to our D20 Club and our Dice Heads on Patreon. You are amazing. You keep the zombies away from our door, and the goats, currently still at Primrose Hill, away from us. They're closer to the Camden camp than they are to the Tilbury docks. That to be one of your local currency. Again, thanks to you, we get to make such fun shows as this. I get to just hang out with my friend, which is nice. It's you! Yay! So big thank you to our sponsors and our supporters. Yes, it's you. No, I meant Dave. Good friend Dave.
Good friend Dave.
Good
who's
friend
technically you, so you like hanging out with yourself.
Oh, I'm delightful. I find myself very exciting. Anyway, social media. Roll Together RPG on most social medias. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. We'll see you at the next one. This is, as you're picking up, an ongoing series. So we are planning some plans with how we're going to expand this. So watch this space and check for bites. Oh my god, I've been bitten this entire time.
Yeah.
Oh no. We just cut to each just like... As we said, like little bits of memories stay from previously. It's like he just ran a D&D game as he just wandered the streets trying to bite people.
That's probably what your zombie form is, isn't it? Instead of it going, yours is going, goats.
Goats! Anyway, folks, we'll catch you at the next one. Bye now.
Bye.